Hey friends, Jessica here. Welcome to Art Exploration with Jessica, Kelly, and Lisa. Today I have a color challenge for you for the month of March. So, drum roll please. The March color challenge is light blue. The color of skies, the color of serenity, calmness, trust. My favorite color actually is blue. So let's learn more about this color for our challenge.
As per usual, I went on a hunt through my journal just to see how I use blues. And the truth is, I love blue. I use blue so much. So this was one page that I found where I used a lot of light blue. The thing is, when I use light blue, I almost always use dark blue. So I really use them together almost all the time. But this one had this nice pour with this light blue around it and splashy background, and I enjoyed that. Now this was a different kind of page for me because everything was light and bright, but you can see I used a light blue for the clouds. I used it a little bit in the stems on the flowers and some splattery goodness there. So that was a lot of fun. And then I used light blue here in this little drawing. Now this was done on just a scrap piece of paper that I had that already had all the stamping on it, and I just drew the face and I used blue for the face. So I don't, skin tones are nice, but I don't feel like they're required. So that's one way I use blue, and here's just a messy mess of blue, right? So I use blue a lot, and if I just flip through my journal, you'll see lots and lots of blue. Blue greens. I mean, they're just kind of my favorites. So I just have lots of them everywhere. There's a blue-yellow combo. This is a tutorial I did for Ranger that's on their blog. So if you want to check that out, you can learn how to make this page and use near complements, which was this blue and yellow. So pretty cool. I have blues in here. Blues, there's light blues there. So I have basically light blues everywhere. I made this tag recently, and notice the words are light blue. This little focal point is light blue, and I used pinks and purples to set off that with this butterfly. So I use blue a lot in my art journaling, and I also use it a lot in my watercolor. I was just playing around with blues with my watercolor here, and you can see this really deep dark blue, which we're not talking about dark blue this week, but as I said, I almost always use it with light blue. So I have this nice watery blue here, and I often use it with the gold. Here's more blue and pink, and again, I'm using it with the gold. More light blue and combined with that deep dark blue. So these are just little color studies. They're not any like finished paintings or anything. Okay, so I love using blue. It's fantastic. The problem I had was, what color of blue is light blue? Because with watercolor, the more water you add, the lighter the blue gets, right? So I had to consult my oracle. It's not really an oracle, right? But it's a color study of my blues that I have in my Daniel Smith blue palette. So I made a whole palette of color that's almost entirely blues and blue greens, purple blues, that sort of thing, because I love blue so much. And so I thought, what color makes a nice light bright blue? Because I'm not going for those deep dark blues. Primarily I want to emphasize the light blue, and I decided that I feel like these three blues, the cobalt, the cerulean chromium, and the manganese blue, are the ones I'm going to focus on for this light blue challenge, the month of March. So I'll go to my color study and let's learn a little bit more about these colors. So I'm all set up here. As I mentioned, I'm going to focus on cobalt, cerulean chromium, and manganese blue. Now these are light bright blues, but they can be sort of a mid-value color of blue. Pretty dark if you wanted them to be, but they don't have to be. So the trick is to add more water. So that's a pretty dark cobalt blue here. And I love these for skies when you're painting watercolor. All three of them I use together. It's going to be really quite dark if you paint with it, right? So I'll show you with this scrap piece of paper. This doesn't have a lot of water, a lot of pigment in it, And it's going to be a really, for this color, it's a dark value, but it's in the value scale somewhere above like a level 5, right? So if 5 was like a mid-colored gray, this would be a little bit darker than that when it's in this color strength. So just add water. And adding water will allow that light to reflect through the paper, and it will make your blue lighter and brighter. So there's quite a bit of water there now. So let me just paint that cobalt blue, and you can see how light and bright it can be. And I'll add a little bit more water just to give it a chance to flow and move a little bit, and just see how nice and light it can go. Now, out of my 3 that I've chosen for my light blues, the cobalt is the warmest. It's not very warm. It's not as warm as ultramarine. It doesn't have as much red in it, but it is warmer than cerulean chromium and manganese, in my opinion at least. So next, let's look at the cerulean chromium. Out of the 3 blues, the cerulean chromium is the most neutral that I've chosen. I feel it is. Out of these 3, this one's warmer, this one's more neutral, and this one's more cool. Now, in the grand scheme of things, definitely there are more warmer colors than this, right? So let me show you the dark version. Again, all of the blues I have in my palette are dark, or can be quite dark if you don't put that much water in them. So again, that can be a pretty dark blue, but oh, it's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous color. But I'm looking for light blues, right? So again, I'll just add more water. And it will make a nice light bright blue. Now I have quite a bit of water in there. Let's just look at that. So when you put these next to each other, it's quite obvious that this one is more purple than this one, right? It has more red in it. Beautiful. This is a granulating color, so I'm going to get little bits and specks in there, and I love that. I love it. All right, let's move on to manganese. Sometimes these colors are a little difficult to activate in my palette, so I make sure I spritz them with water ahead of time so they can soften up a little. This one is not quite, I feel, doesn't have the strength, the darkness that the other 2 have. And so even in its mass tone, it's just not quite as dark, I don't think. It's a little lighter and brighter than those 2 are. So how do I lighten it up? Once again, you just add water. Lots of water equals a lighter color. Even in the dish, you can see how light it is. So let's go. Really light and bright, and make it slightly bit darker there so we can see. And a little bit more on the green side, so it's a little bit cooler. Look at that. So 3 different blues, all quite similar. Cobalt, cerulean chromium. I'm just going to let them play. Let them play together. Let's see what they do. Notice that cobalt, I didn't have to put very much of it, so let me add a little bit more. I do have quite a lot of water in my brush. So look at that, really nice. All right, so this is the cobalt, the cerulean chromium, and the manganese blue. So you can really see when they're in the same wash how different they are. They're all blue, right? It's crazy. It's crazy to me how they can be all blue, but they're, you know, still quite different. All right, so the complement of blue is, anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Okay. You're right, it's orange. So I have in my palette what's called Aussie Red Gold. And it is a very bright orange, and because that's what I have in my palette, that's the one we're going to be using. But I think I want to water it down a bit. It becomes a little more yellowish when it's watered down, this particular pigment does. It's really beautiful. And so let me just put some here in the middle. is quite orangey, as you can see, very warm. So now let's mix in a few, mix in our other colors and just see how they look, how they mix. We're going to get that neutralizing effect, right, with our color. Oh, look, that makes a nice turquoise color. It's a little bit grayed out turquoise, but still a nice turquoise color. And then our manganese, excuse me. Ooh, I love that. Oh my goodness, really pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to leave those. You can see how it gets quite neutral. It's sort of a neutral gray green. It looks really nice, looks cool. And they just make each other pop, right? Because that's what complements do. They do two things. They make each other stand out, and if they're mixed, they make each other more gray. So it's important to know how they react with all the colors, right? Okay, so let's go to my favorites, which is, of course, my favorite part. So as I said, I often use dark blue with blue, right? Almost always use dark blue with light blue. So Indian Throne is a nice dark blue. It's really dark. It's a dark gray blue. So I might use that with my light blues. I think it would look nice. I also like to use greens, which gives you more of that aqua teal feeling. So here's a little bit of, this is not green, but it's cobalt teal here. This is actually an M-grade color. Looks really pretty with the blues, right? So it's just a color shift from the light blue to the blue-green, which is nice. And that's the way I often use it. And what are my other favorites? I think a light yellow often looks good. This is Hansa yellow. It's a pretty strong mix there. Let me see if I can get it. Often looks good with the blues. Creates a nice color mix. Not just a mix, but also a nice color combo, right? And let's see, what else do I like to use with the blues? I tend to like stick with blues and greens, really. Purples are nice though. Do I have a purple? Oh, I have a Mayan violet. Here's a Mayan violet, which is a pinky purple, right? Which will go nice more with my cobalt blue than probably my manganese. But so those are kind of my favorite color combos, but you know what? I will show you my bestest favorite with blue, and that is gold. I love to float some gold in there. So this is a bronze from Schmincke, but you could use gold watercolors, and I love to float that gold into those colors. Just, to me, it looks magical. Now you've seen me also use gold earlier in these color challenges, so obviously I like metallics, right? And you may not, and that's perfectly fine. What colors do you like to use with blue? That's the question. That's part of this exploration, is so you can explore what you want to use with blue. So, look at that mixing. That is so pretty. I kind of just want to pour that on the paper, but I can't because it's really pretty. Okay, so that is my color exploration. As far as what I'm going to do for a project for this challenge, I am really not sure yet, but I hope you'll watch and find out in my next art exploration video. So thanks so much for joining me. I cannot wait to see your light blue projects, to see some color exploration, and to just share the joy of creating with you. I'll see you in the group. Bye-bye.